And that's exactly why you should stick with 4 koma manga. They usually don't run too long, and yet they're endlessly entertaining. We opened this week at the karaoke, where of course Mirai was singing her own opening from the original series. She was with her college friends who, yeah, I also kind of forgot were a thing in this show, and one of them took note of Mofurun. Yeah, and I wonder how much that goes for on eBay, and I'll see you later. Actually, according to the teddy bear herself, it was more likely because her friend was off-put by the fact that the college girl was carrying around a plushie everywhere. And again, this is coming from the bear herself, which, yeah, I mean, this will play into a major theme of the series that they're really going to highlight in this episode, but still, Mofer, do you have some internal issues that you want to get out, honey? Anyway, the Mahou girls and Hisui later had dinner with the family. The grandparents, of course, took note of how much bigger the kid had gotten. You could just say that she's mixed ethnicity or something. And I'm really kidding, my half-Caucasian niece, who's just 4 years old, is already half the height of her full Asian uncle. Those kids grow up scary fast. This led to a kind of clever bit that in many other Precure series would have just been some superfluous cute fluff of Mr. Asahina showing off old photos of his daughter. However, it then became significant after, of all things, Mirai noticed how freaking huge his font was. This combined with an earlier bit of him struggling with his glasses would play to the show's ongoing theme of aging, which the Mahou girl, specifically Mirai, is likely going to have to deal with and accept. Later, Liko had tried to look for Isle by going up and down a bunch of bookstores, which, yeah, there was a slight fallacy with that approach, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, Mirai noticed that her bear's stitching was starting to come a little undone. Yeah, come on, did you see Toy Story 2? Or do you want to have an existential crisis that's going to lead to a meme that a lot of people overuse? Actually, the more I think about it, the more I realize that movie series also had a good ongoing theme of aging and accepting change, which it brilliantly got across without ever senselessly retracting them or regressing its characters over its 3 films. It only had 3 films! La 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 la! But yeah, during all of this, Liko also had a magically induced flashback to their age regression episode from the original series, which I almost thought was going to tie in with Mulford's torn stitching, but no, it's been years since then in story, so not likely. Though, it will be a surprisingly important plot point later. During all of this, Io was actually doing some slightly superfluous stuff, like buying a bento and revealing where he was actually working at. No big deal really, as they were short scenes that didn't really bother me, well, except for maybe this bit. You're still not saying the thing, damn it! Back with the Mahou girls, they actually did need to consider the fact that Hisui's rapid aging would eventually be exposed to Miyai's parents, so they did need to consider moving her out of the Asahina residence. And fortunately, and in a nice bit of world building, they had a safe house that the magical world had established for wizards who needed a place to secretly practice their magic, or more likely just mooch off of. It again nicely tied in with the growing up theme of the show, as the lesbian couple and their kid decided to move out of the parents' home and into their own place. Or more specifically, Mirai pushed the issue so as not to be separated from her waifu, but ironically enough, her dad was against it. Oh, not the lesbian stuff, he wasn't a bigot, he was just overprotective of his 20-year-old daughter. Yeah, rightfully, he was overruled by the other parents who had some actual sense. That said, it did also nicely tie in with the conflict from the last episode with that other father, as well as this daughter's current conflict of not being able to let go of the past, i.e. Mirai's attachment to Liko and the magical world. And from there, they also revisited the aging theme, with Liko bringing up Gustav considering retirement, and Mirai bringing up her dad's eyes. Yeah, I mean, just look how much older he looks since the original series. Is this a Benjamin Button situation? But yeah, good stuff that's more than likely going to be key in dealing with Isle by the end of the series. The next day, the newlywed couple decide to do one of the most annoying and stressful bits of moving into a new place: furniture shopping.
That and a soundproof bedroom, am I right?
Funniest bit of the episode was, of course, more of Liko turning into a total boomer and trying to figure out the most practical setup for their new place. Granted, it is a legitimate issue in Japan and it's very limited housing spaces, but come on, that's what Google's for. Oh wait, she doesn't like to use the internet. Oh well, guess y'all are screwed. But yeah, Liko got another magical and plot-convenient flashback to likely her first year as an educator, where she got a talk from Isaac about how she went from being a student to a teacher and how she should feel being on the other side of the fence. Not a bad scene by itself, but yeah, they are starting to overhammer this whole aging theme into this show. Anyway, after magically getting their new stuff into their apartment that I'm totally not jealous about how easy it was, they got excited and caused a power outage. Though, come on, just 3 appliances causing that feels more like they just have some cheap breakers. Regardless, they actually couldn't stay because they hadn't contacted the gas company yet. Honestly, I can't relate because we don't use gas at our place, but still, that's probably a very relatable issue for small apartment dwellers in Japan, and all of this was cute stuff overall. Later, Mirai finally put together where they could find Isle.
Well, duh.
Like, that does not look like any Barnes & Noble I've been to.
Plus, generally when you think of book places, don't you usually go to libraries first before bookstores? So, yeah, I think it would have worked out a little better if they had gone the other way around and looked for him at libraries first and then found him at a bookstore.
Not to mention, I think this is the last thing you would ever want to say in a library.
何もしないよ。もし君たちを襲うならこの場で襲ってる。
Anyway, Io was genuinely surprised to meet Mirai there, as this was likely not something that had played out in another world line. Granted, other elements seemed to play out exactly as he expected.
あなた、何なの？そう、ここから先の未来は見ているんだ。
Again, this is all very much like Steins in that it's like a visual novel.
Yeah, even in games without time travel, you will likely end up replaying certain parts as you go down different routes.
In that sense, you could say that Fate's Day Night involves a lot of time travel, which, yeah, it does, but not as much as Steins Gate. Plus, I'm more referring to the gameplay. You get the idea, right?
Basically, and even though he tried to compare what he was doing to reading his favorite time travel book, Io was the guy playing a visual novel and likely already reached a few endings and was looking to 100% complete his game in order to reach what he viewed as the true ending to all of this. To do this, he was using Desmos's magic, which Orba had already experimented with in the aforementioned age regression episode, which is actually a clever way of working in something that really didn't take full advantage of the concept, at least compared to Smile back in that episode. Though he would also need the power of Rapapa to even reach the future that he wanted, which he couldn't use just yet, otherwise the show would probably be over by now. Though speaking of which, we're near the end of the episode and our Precure haven't even transformed yet. Well, thankfully, Mofun called in for reinforcements.
Damn it, did you all forget to change out the batteries again?
Actually, they ended up hesitating as again, they saw that one vision of a future which was likely one of Isle's desired endings. This gave him an opening to escape as the episode ended with him promising that they'd finish things the next day, or in our case, next week.
Well, structurally, this is a bit more of a slice of life outing. It was good slice of life that also really added to the major themes of the season.
Sure, you could say it was a little obsessive at times, but it still had a point, plus the characters' interactions held it up.
There was just so much content here that you could even ignore the fact that there was no real fight this week, which really, this franchise could use a little more of if they're going to put this much bank in their stories.
I gotta say, Isle is really winning me over as an antagonist, if only because I can relate with him as an otaku who enjoys his visual novels. But yeah, again, the time travel stuff, and just the fact that he's going full Hyoin Kyoma, is a lot of fun and intriguing to see play out. This, along with the themes of growing up and learning how to let go of the past, are also in my wheelhouse, and this episode really got those themes across, a little to the point of obsessiveness, but at least it was balanced out by the fun and relatable Yuri of Liko and Mirai trying to move out of the liar's parents' home. It all nicely tied in with those themes that will also likely play into the endgame of the series. And overall, there's really nothing much else to say other than this just had some really good storytelling and character building on both sides of the conflict. While the Mahou girls are trying to achieve their ideal family life, Io is working to reach his ideal world line. We'll just have to see who succeeds at their goals first.
Thank you for watching, and fun fact about that episode from the original series, it was written by Akiko Inoue.
Yeah, for those in the tokusatsu circles, you'll recognize her as Toshiki Inoue's daughter and the head writer of the next Super Sentai. Yeah, isn't it just interesting how all of this stuff kind of ties together?
Still, look forward to whatever comes next on this channel, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and... Oh, right, the sun works on gas, doesn't it? Okay, who forgot to pay the bill?